all of the speakers will need to identify themselves when they speak. All the votes will be by roll call. And if for some reason the communication fails, we will have to suspend the meeting until such time as the communication can be restored. And I believe that's all of the preliminaries that we have to go through. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. The first order of business is to inquire of the board members and staff present whether anyone has a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda. And I will remind everybody of Commissioner Sorg's hint, which is if you would like to momentarily speak, just press down on the space bar and it will momentarily unmute you so that you can speak. So now,
unfortunately, it doesn't quite work right now. I tried it several times.
Oh, well, it was a good idea while it lasted.
Yes.
Okay, given that.
Now it works.
Are there any members of the board who have any conflict of interest with any item on the agenda today?
None.
None.
None. None. And the chair, none. The staff?
Mr. Chairman, no conflicts for staff.
Thank you so much. The next item of business is to accept the agenda. May I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Carmichael.
Thank you. And a second?
A second, Commissioner Hardy.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, ready for a vote. Commissioner Archuleta? Commissioner Archuleta was on.
He's muted. Sorry, this is Alma Ruiz.
Can you unmute everybody?
I'm working on that.
Okay.
I would like to just make a general statement. This is Alma Ruiz, Senior Office Manager for Utilities. With this Zoom webinar, as the host, we cannot just randomly unmute because of the regulations. We can request that they unmute, and then it's up to the participant to initiate the unmuting on their end for their purpose of participating.
Okay, this is Archuleta. I vote aye.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Sorg?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardy?
Yes, I accept.
Commissioner Ben-Como?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
I accept.
And the chair, yes. Thank you. The next order of business is public participation. Were there any public comments by email in advance of the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, no, we've not received any comments or inquiries.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And now, is there a means for someone to comment
Chairman, this is Alma Ruiz, Senior Office Manager. There is, those that are in attendance from the public or other, they are attendees. And the way they can be recognized is if they want to comment during the public participation, they need to raise their hand, and then we will request that they unmute.
Okay,
And I don't see any hands currently for the attendees.
okay, thank you. Seeing none, the next order of business is the administrative report. Ms. Walsh?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Delilah Walsh, Interim Director of Utilities. And we will get started with Mr. Provencio. If we can go to the first slide.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Jose Provencio, Deputy Director of Business Services. I will provide you some updates in activity in Customer Central and billing and receivables. I'd like to ask the slide to be advanced. First off, this time of the year is the start of, or at the very edge of the heating season. And one of the services that we provide at no cost for our customers, gas service customers, is a free service relight, a free light for our customers. I've provided a small checklist of what is involved with getting this. These are scheduled coming through Customer Central. Field Services is dispatched to customers requesting this service. And just to give you a sense of the level of activity, last year we conducted 352 furnace relight work orders for our customers. If I could ask the slide to be forwarded to the next slide. We, at this point here, I'll provide the statistics and the level of activity in billing and receivables, administering the utility assistance programs. As you can see, the numbers are fairly consistent given the conditions that we've been under for the past several months. The one item that we keep track of and keep you posted on month to month, for the month of September, if I could ask the slide to be advanced. The core values here of, or the core activity for the Casa de Peregrinos, the initial budget that we started off with back in July of $100,000, that is been fully expended, fully dispersed. The statistics here for September are listed there in terms of residential and business customers. The additional funding that was approved by council back in August 27, it was in the amount of $150,000. For the month of September, we assisted 110 residential customers at $31,000 and 383, and then 3 business customers at $2,557. If I could ask the slide to be forwarded. On graphical presentation, the amount that for this one particular fund, the additional $150,000, the 23% of it has been dispersed, and we have a balance of $116,000, or 77% that's available for assistance. At this point, I'll stand by for any questions.
Any questions? I have 2. It would appear that the $150,000 from the city council will also be fully consumed before the end of the calendar year.
Chairman, Commissioners, Chairman Little, that's correct. I mean, it pretty much assisting the various group of customers. It's being utilized at a very fast rate.
Okay, and the city council, I know, is being kept up on the rate of running of this. Do we expect them to add more?
Chairman, Commissioners, I'll defer that question to Delilah.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Delilah Walsh, Interim Director. As of yet, the council has not indicated any further assistance through the Tillshore Fund. However, we do keep them up to date. We include it with our weekly situational report to the city manager, as well as report back when Miss Natalie Green, she's the one that's managing the contracts for the assistance funds. We do let her know where we are on the balances. We anticipated when we requested the $150,000 that that would only last through the end of the calendar year. So we were very aware of that. As far as the council moving forward with any further assistance, that's not known at this time, at least by staff. If Mr. Peely or somebody from the city manager's office is aware, we haven't been notified on that since.
Okay, thank you. The second thing is that now in November, the federally mandated moratorium on heating cutoffs will take effect. And
Chairman, Commissioners, that's correct. Most of the applications start about this time. Billing and Receivables has noted that there's the usual number of applicants that are registering their accounts for the light heat program. We'll have that set of numbers in the next month, the next month's presentation.
all right, thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, if I might add to that, the city has also applied for CARES Act funding, and the utility assistance funding and other funding that they've provided during COVID aid and COVID relief have been part of that application. So I will say there was an indication to the mayor and other councilors when they were discussing assistant funds that it is possible once we are reimbursed by CARES Act funding that we may offer additional funding. So I want to make that clarification and correction. In addition to that, I will share now, though you will receive it in my weekly report on our situational report, we were concerned because delinquencies, the percentage was rising, but we're starting to see that come back down. So we've had a really great effort from our billing and receivable staff working with customers.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Next slide. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, again, for the record, Delilah Walsh, Interim Utilities Director. As you can see from the report, our total vacancies by month for the month of September, we did drop down to 47. That's actually closer to 46 or 45 because we had some changes right at the beginning of October. So we're doing great. HR is working with us to get those positions posted and filled. I know they're starting some more onboarding efforts, and honestly, it's been a really big effort from that department, considering what they're having to deal with on FMLA claims. I believe the HR director in one report, it's something like 4 or 5 times more FMLA claims today than what they've ever had to deal with. So we're seeing some progress there. Our vacancies by line of business are consistent. Again, our highly specialized positions are difficult to fill, such as gas and water technicians. Next slide. I can tell you right now, we're nowhere near our goal to fill vacancies within 6 weeks. Right now, it's taken an average of 35 to 40 weeks to fill one position, and that I don't see that changing until we get through this COVID environment and start to return to normal, or at least the new normal in the new calendar year. Weeks in process hasn't really budged. You can see by March, that's when we had a peak. And it's starting to just take longer since March. And so I expect that to happen until we return to that new normal. As you can see by the chart, when it comes to work stoppage or next step in the hiring process, 83% of that is at HR, 15% is within the utility staff and our hiring managers, and 2% is inflow. And inflow process simply means that the job is still posted and open, or we've already hired somebody and we're waiting for them to onboard. Next slide. On our activity report progress since October, we have filled 54 positions. That's pretty significant when you think about it. In just a year, we've had 54 new positions. That's pretty much one a week. From HR, we're still awaiting the 5 reclassification requests, 4 new job descriptions remitted via PAQs. We have 3 positions that we're awaiting release of candidates, meaning that candidates have applied and we're just waiting for the potential releases for review. And 4 positions are waiting posting to NeoGov. I am happy to report that the hiring review committee, that was the extra step that was added during the COVID and budget review process this year, is no longer functioning, or it's functioning, but it's no longer necessary. So they're temporarily disbanded, meaning that that extra step of positions going through the hiring review committee has now been eliminated. So based on revenues and budget projections, that may happen again, but for now, our processes are working well, our budget looks good as a city, and the hiring review committee is no longer necessary. Next slide. I still owe you a lot. Nothing's changed since last month. The staffing specialist position was posted, but it did close yesterday. We had 96 applicants, and I'll be working with Adrian and John to actually come up with the selection process for that staffing specialist, and hopefully we can get that moved forward. With hiring of that position, we will be able to get out the overtime reports, longevity reports, temporary staff analysis. I will let you know that right now, all we're focusing on is staffing while complying with COVID policies. So in other words, we're allowing staff out for FMLA requirements or whether they qualify as children are still out in remote learning. So you have those pending items of the overtime report, longevity, and temporary staff analysis. All those are very much impacted by COVID. For example, we are going to have overtime as some of our staff members use their leave before the end of the year. Our intern and journeyman program outlook, I'm very confident that we will be able to get that kickstarted in January of 2021. I've got a really big list for our staffing specialists to get those started, and I think we're going to be in a great place next year. Are there any questions on the HR report?
Comment, Mr. Chairman, Carmichael.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to compliment Cassie and everyone on the great article that was produced recently about the intern program. That's going to go a long way the more we can advertise and support that in the community. Thanks.
Absolutely, thank you.
Very good.
Great.
Anything else? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next slide. This is regarding our COVID incident management. Our continuity of operations plan, we're still moving forward. We are still 100% operational, just as we've been at the start of the pandemic. LCU continues to provide 100% services with no interruption. Our return to work plan is in effect through phase 1 in the state of New Mexico, which is through 10/15/2020. The governor has not extended her public health orders yet, but I anticipate we will see something at next week's press conference. What this means is our building remains at current staffing levels, meaning we're not having shared offices, and we're trying to keep as few people reporting in as possible, which is difficult with the utility. We have most of our staff here. 10 or less individuals are allowed to gather with masks and social distancing, which is helping us move on with our training. We continue the weekly situational reports, what I refer to as the sit reps, to the board as well as the city manager's office. Our PPE is adequate. Gary's done a great job in the warehouse to make sure we stay sufficient with our needs and to increase those sanitization efforts. So we no longer need supervisors to ask me whether or not they can check out PPE or issue PPE. I will say we're using a lot less masks now that we've issued washable masks to all staff members. And so that's helped them in comfort levels, but also reduce the use of some of our disposable masks. But everybody's doing great, and the warehouse has done a great job making sure we're taken care of. Next slide. Regarding staffing, we're complying with the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, meaning we're still working with staff members who need to be home with kids or home with the people who have been sick because of the virus. We are averaging about 3 associates per week out for quarantine. Remember, we have about 250 employed right now, so that's not bad, only 3 employees a week. And it's either extraordinary leave or the emergency paid sick leave or COVID-related FMLA. LCPS students do remain virtual students through the first semester. So we're still working with staff on that. I would like to commend the city of Las Cruces. They're offering a teen tutoring and youth tutoring program for those parents who can't stay home or educate kids. I don't know about the rest of the parents out there, but I give thanks every day that my husband's great at calculus because I got through differential equations all through struggles. And so he's able to actually help the kids. And I know that's not the case for everyone. And the city's done a great job to offer that support, not only to employees, but to our citizens. Any COVID positive cases are quarantined. We've been fortunate, knock on wood, we haven't had any recently. We are continuing sanitization of our common areas. I'm going to continue that probably through the rest of the fiscal year. We've seen a real low case incident here. Everybody, it's very, very clean. I haven't had a cold since the start. So we have a very clean work area. And just based on current numbers, I anticipate us continuing those efforts through the end of the year, fiscal year. We are hiring temps to cover staff taking leave, as well as those complying with the Family First Act. The council did approve, as I reported last month, an extra $500,000 for extraordinary pay. Those lists have been under review at the city manager's office. We were able to review those again on our side, as far as the employees who had to report during the pandemic. And we anticipate seeing a policy, I believe the assistant city manager mentioned sometime this week or the beginning of next week. And so that will be issued fairly soon, or at least in the next 2 payroll cycles. And Las Cruces Utilities employees are included with that. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I'm glad to see that the hiring specialist is in the works. Seeing no other questions, go ahead.
Okay. Well, can you give us the next slide? All right. And for water litigation, I'm going to turn that over to Adrian.
Thank you, Delilah. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Adrian Widmer, Deputy Director for Water. You all just got finished with the executive closed session on the Texas v. New Mexico and Colorado update, so there's no need for me to update you on that. On the federal litigation with Griggs Walnut, we have completed the consent decree as we had discussed before in August. The Joint Superfund project has paid the $1.6 million over to the feds for their past costs, and they've turned around and paid us the $6.4 million, so that is moving forward. On the West Griggs property, an application has been turned in for a soil vapor analysis, and we are just waiting for the New Mexico Environment Department to come back and give the okay so that we can go ahead and get started with our consultants. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, go ahead.
Thank you.
For our next demonstration, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'd like to introduce Jeff Dillard. Jeff?
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Jeff Dillard, Business Systems Analyst. And what I'm here today is to give you the demonstration of the Utility Hawk customer portal that we talked about last month. If you give me just a moment, I'm setting up my screen to share, and you should now be seeing the view of the Utility Hawk portal. This is as somebody would see it on a mobile device, such as their iPhone or their Android device. Just like any regular device, it will allow rotation to change the view. And it is extremely easy to use, but it does give you a lot of quick information without a lot of clutter. So you can swipe or tap on the screen to make it do different things, and we'll go through that in a moment. But up here, the Hawk actually opens up a main menu, which will allow you to also access different parts of the application, including setting thresholds, looking at your alerts history, or going to settings to adjust how you would like things to display. Click outside of that, it'll close back up. Over here on the right-hand corner, the settings gear also allows you to come into your settings. Under the user settings, you can at any time update your contact information, change how you'd like to receive any contact preference. If I suddenly decide I don't want to get texts anymore, all I have to do is come in and click on this, and I can choose to take email as my preferred contact method, and then save my new method. And once it updates here, it will come back and set me as to email. The other nice thing about this is with the portal itself is actually web-based. And so it reads browser information, whether your language is set for English or Spanish, it'll automatically adjust for you. Now, in the case you're working on a computer, say in an office that has an English language operating system, you can easily switch it over to Spanish. On the mobile phone, you would just click here and click your Spanish. You do have to actually close the application and reopen it, but I can simulate that by saving it and then reloading it real quickly for you. And now you can see everything is translating into Spanish. So we do offer that convenience to customers who are more comfortable in Spanish. And if you'll pardon me, I don't speak and read Spanish that well, so I'm going to put it back to English. I do know most of this by heart, but at the same time, it's always a little easier if I can read what I'm trying to figure out. So on the screen itself, the next area, it shows that it recognizes who I am because of my login. It'll show, here is my account information. If I had more than one account, it would show that in this section. And then I can just go ahead and close that back up. Underneath that, we have our alerts. Anything green means that the alert is closed or has been resolved in one form or another, whether the computer automatically resolved that or whether I've worked with Customer Central and it's been corrected that way. If this alert is red and has a number on it, it means that there are that many active open alerts on the account. And this is real important because the alerts come from the My Thresholds setting. So what I did was I went into here in the thresholds and I said, I want to go ahead and set a couple of alerts so that throughout the month, if my bill goes over $90, it's going to tell me when I actually exceed that, and I'll get a text or an email based on my preference. But it'll also give me the option down here to say if the projected amount is likely to exceed my threshold, it'll give me a separate notice. And these you'll get one a month. If you have both turned on, you'll only get one for when your projected hits that, and then the other will be when you actually pass it. This is different than the water in the fact that with water, I can set it to say if I use more than 6,000 gallons a month, I get an alert. And if I'm projected to use that, I'll get an alert. But where the real difference comes in is under the advanced thresholds. And that allows me to come in here and say, I want to know if I'm using water continuously for a time period. And I can say, I want to know if I use 1 gallon, 2 gallons, 5, 10, whatever that number is, I can put it in here. And I can also come in here with my drop-down list and say, for what time period I'm worried about. If I'm a single person, 4 hours is great because if I leave the house, go to work, and I left the water on, I want to know so by lunch I can go home and turn it off and keep from running up hundreds of dollars on my water bill. If I have a family and they're doing things throughout the day where they're washing clothes or dishes or laundry or any showering, any of those activities, I can say, well, maybe I don't need to know unless I have more usage than 16 hours continually. And whatever I set this to, it's going to send me an alert. I currently have it on 4 for the purpose of this demonstration. And then I can also say, if I want to know if my teenager is using a lot of water. So if I set 100 gallons per hour and they go to shower and they're in there for the whole hour, I'll get an alert right away that something's going on. I can call them and discuss it with them. Same thing with the 1 day, the 1 week, and the 1 month settings. And then anytime you make a change, you just come in here and save it to your new threshold. And you have these same options with the gas threshold, which I have not set for you. You come back out, we just click back up here. and close the settings. And now we're back on our screen. Right here, the first thing that pops up to everybody when you start looking at it, here is my estimated bill, and I am 2 days into my billing cycle of 31 days. The nice thing about this is it takes all of our 19 charge codes that encompass all of our rates, the flat rates, as well as the utility consumption rates, as well as the tiered rates, as well as all the taxes. And it estimates the bill based on those charges of the flat rates and the current usage I have on my water and my gas. So it takes it one step further and says, based on analytical algorithms, we as a software expect you to use this much more by the end of the billing cycle, based on what I've done so far in the billing cycle. So you can see right now, because I haven't used much water, it's only 2 days in, I have a really close dollar amount between my estimate and my projected. As I move through and I'm in day 20, day 25, this will go up because I've been using more water. When I hit the weekend, I may wash the truck, that takes extra. I may do whatever these things are, but I'm able to watch it through this app no matter what I do, so I can constantly keep track of what I'm actually working with. And to do that, I would just swipe and come over here. Here's my water screen. The default view is daily, but I can also come in and look at it as an hourly breakdown. Apologize. It seems to be a little slow on updating here. Whether it's on the hourly or the daily, I can come in and click on any one of these bars, or I would touch it with my finger on the phone, and it's going to tell me whatever that data is with that bar. To close that up, I just click outside the graph area. And then same thing with the gas. If I was to look at my hourly, which for some reason is not refreshing right now, it would show that I've got the gas usage for when we cooked dinner last night. As soon as this pops back up, we'll see if it comes in here. There we go. And so I can click on that and I can see exactly how many cubic feet I've used. Click back out of that. I have my summaries at the bottom that tell me my total use in the billing cycle so far, what my minimum per hour has been, what my maximum per hour has been, and what my average is. So it's a really handy thing to be able to go through. There is one other nice advantage to this, which is I can set this to have another account where I have the ability to view. And this comes in handy for landlords or for people who have multiple properties, or even for people like myself. My mother is elderly, so I could link to her account and I could view and get alerts on her account in case the water starts running continually for 4+ hours. That might be she went out and watered her plants in the backyard and just forgot to turn the water off. But I don't have to wait till the end of the month to find out she's developing a problem with her water usage. So it does offer a great amount of benefits. We expect once it is made available to our customer base, that this is going to be a great tool that's going to allow them to better manage their usage and become more aware of how little changes throughout the day and throughout the month can actually benefit them by reducing their overall bill. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions? This is not yet rolled out.
No, not yet. We actually are in the last month of testing the last 2 parts of this and getting some data transfers straightened out. So we're not quite there, but is much, much closer than we've been since we've been giving you updates on this. And I do apologize, there's one other thing I meant to show you and I forgot to include. I've spent all my time talking about the mobile app, but you can look at this on a computer too. And if you went on a desktop, you would see all the same information just laid out slightly differently to take advantage of the landscape. Over here, it's still got your alert information. Down here, it's still got your grid information. You just hover over it and you can see all of this. So whether you're on a computer or on a phone, this is going to be a great tool for everyone in the utility system.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bencomo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Mr. Dillard. This is honestly, I'm really impressed. Like, this is really, really amazing. I apologize if you had presented it before while I've been on the council. I don't think so. I feel like I would have remembered, but I just really, I just, as you started presenting, I went to my app store to look for it and then realized it probably wasn't live. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's just such a good upgrade for customers, and it's easy, and it's really important. I'm glad to hear the timeline and that it's moving quickly. I'm curious about will this then replace what currently exists? So like currently I get my bill on my email, and then I click on the link, and then it takes me to, that page. Is this going to replace that?
Not in that sense. And I want to back up just a moment where you were talking about looking on the App Store. This is actually a website. So it's not a true, even though I used that term kind of loosely in the demonstration. So you don't have to download anything to be able to take advantage of it. And no, it's not going to replace anything. This is a new tool that we're offering to better assist our customer base. So you'll still get your bill via email if that's how you have it set up, or in the mail. You'll still be able to go in and pay your bill on the telephone or over the internet through our current online bill pay system. This is just another way to manage your usage. And that's the big thing. No, we have not actually shown this to you or council or anyone before. You are in on the ground level on this, but that's because we spent 6+ months getting the data transfers tested, working between our Munis billing system, the Itron metering system, and the Utility Hawk portal, and making sure all these numbers that come in are being processed correctly so that you do get as accurate information as you can have at the time.
Got it. That's really impressive. So can I pay my bill through this then, or no, I still have to go through?
Soon, and when we actually release it, it will have that functionality. That's one of the last 2 things we're working on. We're working with our credit card processor, and it's in the testing right now to make sure that it does the real-time updating, just like if you were to go on our current website to make the payment, so that you'll have a button that'll allow you to jump straight to there, which will be a much quicker process than the path you have to go through right now with our current online portal. So we'll save you about a half dozen button clicks once that's up and running.
That's great. What's your plan for the launch? Like, are you going to do press release, social media? Like, what will that look like?
All of that, we plan to have customer service talking it up to people as they're in the office, helping them sign up for it. They'll be able to talk to people on the phone and explain to them about it and offer to help them learn about it. We're going to have articles in the newspaper. We're going to have a huge outreach on this, just like we did with our Las Cruces Alerts messaging system. We'll be going out to the farmers market and places where hopefully we can gather more than 10 at that time. But if not, we'll have recordings on the website doing short demos of this so people can see it at whatever time's convenient for them. And the nice thing about this is once we make it available, you can sign up at any time. You can manage it yourself. You can reset your password yourself. So it will eventually start reducing the calls down to Customer Central because people will be able to look up the information and not have to wait for somebody to come in the office Monday morning when they're wondering what's going on Saturday.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations. This is really amazing. And let me know, let us know however we can support in that community outreach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We've been talking about this for several years. Now, Commissioner Sorg.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of peculiar how this spacebar works. But anyway, moving on. Did you mention social media, Mr. Dillard?
Yes, we will be. I may not have mentioned I meant to. We will be posting it through the city Facebook page and encouraging people to repost that on their own.
Of course, of course. Yeah. You'll probably get more people to see it that way than you will any other single source of messaging. Now, I want to know one other thing too, and Ms. Dillard may not be the right person to ask this, but when we get our emails, bills, what is the name of the sender on that now? Because I haven't seen one for about 2 or 3 months, and you changed the name on it. So when I go to search for my email bill, I never find it. So what is the name on it today?
Commissioner Sorg, I do apologize for that. We did try and let people know about that. It is now coming from the email address of operations@postalpros.com. And we did that because a lot of spam filters on email systems, including the Gmail account, was blocking it just because it said no reply. So,
Oh my.
yeah, we did that.
Reply doesn't work.
So that
Yeah, right.
people would have a better access to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That might be why I lost 1 or 2. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Let's go on.
And Lizette, if you could take us back to the resolutions for PowerPoint. Oh, I believe we're in projects. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is
Waleed,
Waleed.
if you'll give us a moment, we need Lizette to load the PowerPoint.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
Right,
Okay,
thanks.
Waleed, if you'll continue and introduce yourself, please.
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Waleed Abu Isa. I'm the Senior Engineer here at the Utilities Technical Support Section. I'm here today to update you on some of the projects the Utilities Department staff are currently working on. I'm going to update you. I'm planning to update you on 3 projects. One design project and 2 construction, and they are Jacob Hans wastewater treatment plant primary clarifier rehabilitation design project number 19-20-095, the Talavera low pressure gas distribution network 3A project number 19-20-121, and Stern Drive water line project number 19-20-125. Next slide, please. Okay, the first project, Jacob Hans wastewater treatment facility is primary clarifier rehabilitation design project number 19-20-095. The consultant on this project is Bohanna Houston Incorporated, and the contract cost is $287,061.16. Contract time, 352 working days. This includes the design, bidding process, construction administration, and the NIST inspection. The start date of this project started back in April of I'm sorry, the estimated, the start date started in April 7, 2020, and the estimated completion is August 30, 2021. That's where we are expecting the construction to be completed with this project. Remember, this contract includes the construction administration as well. Now, the percent completion on this project, 95% on the design. We just received the 95% design on it, and the payment, we are at 20%. Description of the project, it consists of a bypass plan, the developed bypass plan to isolate splitter box number 1 and east primary clarifier. Primary clarifier structure, replace lining of interior concrete structure and outer waterproofing. Primary clarifier equipment, replacement of clarifier weather components, including center column, rack assembly, support structure replacement of related electrical and related electrical controls and power distribution components. And finally, splitter box number 1, which is replace 3 splitter box influent control valves, piping, and replacing existing concrete liner. Any questions on this project?
Any questions? Seeing none. Go ahead.
Yes, next slide, please. Okay, this overview map shows you the Jacob Hans wastewater treatment plant components, and it shows right there the east primary clarifier to the east of the map. We recently, actually in 2018, we did the west one, which is next to it. We completed the rehabilitation of this one in 2018. Next slide, please. Next project is the Televera Low Pressure Gas Distribution Network Phase 3A project 19-20-124. This is the overview of the map of the project. Can you please back on the, yeah, here we go. Thank you. Yeah, it shows the area of the, Delilah, can you go back to the map, please?
Okay, I'm being told we need to hold the presentation.
But I think it's good, gone now, right? Yeah, it's gone now.
Okay, now we can keep going.
Okay,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, Wally, if you could push the slide back, go back to the previous slide, please.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the overview map for the project area. It's on the Televera area between Dripping Spring north to the Soledad Canyon south. It's part of multi-phase projects that the city is currently working on. We recently completed the Soledad Canyon and high pressure gas line on Dripping Spring. And now we are providing the low pressure services to the Televera area. This project consists of 2 phases, phase 3A, which is under construction right now, and 3B, which is in design. The contractor, next slide, please.
Next one.
The contractor on this project is Smithco Construction Incorporated. Contract cost $3,060,433. Contract time 207 working days. This project started in August 10, 2020, and expected to be completed by June 8, 2021. Currently, they are at 5% completion on construction and 11% payment. The reason the payment is higher than construction, actually, due to stored material charges in the first pay application. The contractor asked for stored material, and we verified that. So, description of project: installation of 61,500 linear feet of 2-inch polyethylene gas line, and 14,000 linear feet of 4-inch PE gas line, parentheses, pipe bedding, pavement patch, driveway removal and replacement, landscaping removal and replacement. Currently, the summary of the project, the contractor already installed approximately 3,535 linear feet of 4-inch pipeline on Dripping Spring Road. and it's already pressure tested. They are working on purging the line this week, and by early next week is planning to activate this line. Any question on this project?
Any questions? Seeing none, go ahead.
Next slide, please. Okay, next project is the Stern Drive Water Line, project number 19-20-125. The contractor J29 Enterprise LLC. Contract cost $116,089. Contract time 45 working days. This project started in August 24, 2020. And it's nearly to the end. Estimated completion date is October 27, 2020. The percent completed on construction 85%, and we still did not receive any payment to process for this project. I think he wants to get paid for it once and for all. So we'll process this payment once we complete the project. The summary of project: contractor has installed already 570 linear feet of 10-inch C900 PVC water line and 158 linear feet of 10-inch ductile iron pipe on bridge crossing the Tortugas Arroyo. The pressure test has been done the week of September 28, 2020, and recently actually we did the bacteria test on the line. It's expected to be completed by next week, sometime next week, hopefully, ahead of the schedule. Any question on this project?
Seeing none, go ahead.
This includes my presentation to the project's updates, and I will turn the microphone to Mr. Clark, Carl Clark, to talk about the resolution.
Okay, I think we can turn off the PowerPoints. No, sorry, no, they're, okay. The first PowerPoint will be a couple on down here. Okay, first resolution for discussion. Resolution 2021-033, a resolution awarding a construction contract for the water main rehabilitation, Carry-On Place and Alley north of Picacho, project number 2021-033, to Diamond Construction Company, Inc. of Las Cruces, New Mexico, for a total contract award amount of $852,527.71. Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve.
Okay, go ahead and identify yourselves.
Archuleta, second.
Okay, and who proposed?
Carmichael.
Thank you. Okay, discussion.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. This is Carl Clark, Deputy Director of Environmental and Technical Support. This project I have in front of you is a rehab project. This has been in design for a little bit now. The two areas that are identified in these slides were areas where we've had water line breaks. These water lines are AC pipe. These breaks had caused damage to private property, in which the city had to compensate the owners to repair the damages. We've been trying to push this along as fast as we can. This is ready to go now, so that way we can replace these aged AC pipe water lines. The two locations, one of them that you see this first slide is Carry-On Place. It's in the highlighted blue. So in Carry-On Place, we're replacing that AC water line with an 8-inch C900 water line. And then we're also looping the system from Carry-On Place over to Old Farm Road. That'll help keep us, or provide better fire flows in the area, also keep the water a little cleaner. Like I said, we had a large break in Carry-On Place that was repaired a couple years ago. So this project was desperately needed. The next slide, please. The other project is an alleyway that's north of Picacho Avenue. You can see it goes from now North Valley Drive to North Mesilla Street. On the very far right there, North Mesilla Street, or to the east, is going to be a large bore that we need to go across the railroad tracks and Elephant Butte Irrigation District. Once again, we're replacing an AC water line with a C900 water line. It's a 12-inch water line. That line broke over, I believe, let's see here, if I can orient myself. May have been on 3rd Street, I think, or yeah, I believe it was on 3rd Street or in the alleyway. Caused severe flooding in that area, and we know that's a low spot in the city. And so we had some damage that happened to some private property. So we're going to get in there and replace that AC water line with a new C900 water line. That should alleviate that issue that we have in that area. So Diamond Construction is a local contractor. He's done several projects for us before in the past, so we don't believe we'll have any issue. Any questions in regards to this project?
Any questions? Seeing none, ready for a vote.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Commissioner Bencomo. Honestly, my question is just regarding the damage to the private properties. How is that being taken care of? Just their home insurance, or?
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, yes, we worked with risk management, and they're the ones that it went against the insurance, and the city paid to repair the water damage that was caused.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Commissioner Hardy.
Yeah, I just had a question or two. I presume we have a lot of this kind of pipe left around, this AC pipe. Is this going to be continuing a problem? And is this mostly in the older part of town?
Chairman, Commissioners, you're correct. We do have a lot of AC pipe. It was identified in our AC, our Transite pipe master plan that we had put together, I believe with Jacobs Engineering. We've identified areas all over the city that have AC pipe. And in fact, we have monies this year to address AC pipe issues that we have throughout the city. But yes, there's quite a bit of it. It is old. It will be replaced as part of this program. I believe we have around $2 million that we're applying this year for AC pipe replacement or Transite pipe replacement. This is one area. There'll be some other areas I think we've identified over off of Madrid. And then I believe some other areas on the southern end of town. I don't know exactly which streets. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but it was presented in the CIP back in March.
Yep, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? As far as the damage to private property is concerned, this is routinely handled by going to risk management and insurance.
Chairman, that's correct.
Okay. No other comments. Ready for a vote. Commissioner Archuleta.
Aye.
Commissioner Sorg.
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy.
Yes.
Commissioner Bencomo.
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
And the chair, yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Next resolution is Resolution 2021-040. A resolution approving a sole source price agreement for magnesium hydroxide ThioGuard from Hill Brothers Chemical Company of Orange, California for 1 year in the amount not to exceed $150,000 with 3 one-year renewals subject to approved budget appropriations at annual renewals for the use in controlling corrosion and odor in the city of Las Cruces wastewater collection system. Motion to approve.
Org moves to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
Commissioner Johnson, second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. John Mrozik, Deputy Director of Wastewater. This resolution is a renewal, is a renewal of the price agreement for magnesium hydroxide with Phil Brothers for corrosion and odor control in the collection system and for treatment enhancement at Jacob Hands. The first price agreement was a pilot study to determine the efficacy of magnesium hydroxide for the previously stated purposes. We were satisfied with the performance, and you can see the prices on the presentation. I'll stand for your questions.
Questions? Commissioner Johnson, I can see your hand. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're still muted. Commissioner Johnson, you need to unmute yourself. There we go.
Okay, yeah. Just a chemistry question. What does the magnesium hydroxide do to help with the corrosion? I'm not familiar with that.
The way it works is it supplies an oxygen source for the H2S so that the hydrogen sulfide is converted to a sulfate ion, and then it's no longer available as H2S, so that reduces corrosion and odor.
And then certainly reduces odor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. This is a replacement for ferric chloride, is that right?
This is in addition to, we've recently started treating with ferric chloride directly at the plant, directly to the anaerobic digesters to reduce H2S in the digester gas. As the fiscal year moves along, we'll be removing ferrous from the odor control in the collection system and replacing it with bioxide.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions? Ready for a vote. Commissioner Archuleta.
Aye.
Commissioner Sorg.
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy.
Yes.
Commissioner Bencomo.
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
And the chair, yes. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, the next resolution is Resolution 2021 LCU 012, a resolution implementing a revised water litigation cost recovery rate rider for fiscal year 2021. A motion to approve?
Archuleta, yes.
Thank you. And a second?
Johnson, second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Chairman, Commissioners, Jose Provencio, Deputy Director, Business Services. Just a note here, I'm unable to start my camera, so I'll continue on audio. Resolution 20-21-LCU 012 is seeking the approval of the board to implement a litigation rate rider in the amount of 9 cents per 1,000 gallons. And this is to cover the increased expenses that have accumulated over the past year regarding involving recent expenses that have been ongoing. Now, the last water rate review that we had, we took all rate riders that were in effect, both the development rate rider and the litigation rate rider, included those ongoing recurring expenses, and as part of the revenue requirement to set the new base rates for service in the water utility. Now, the level that was included, that is included, the threshold is a little over $318,000. That's currently what customers are paying, or current rates are covering. Now, over the past year or so, the increases have increased to a level that we do have to, number one, pay for those expenses. And let me back up a little bit here. So then when we got the new water rates approved a couple of 2 years ago, the rate riders were set to zero. There was no increase. There was no charges being recovered in any of the riders for any of the either litigation or development riders. So you fast forward to today, an accumulated expense level of $886,000 has been booked, and we have to recover that to pay those level of expenses. And that equates to 9 cents per 1,000 gallons to collect that revenue to pay those expenses. This will be going into effect November 1st. And just as a primer, rate rider is used very often in utility rate settings, but it's an interim adjustment. It's a mechanism to recover or refund unanticipated expenses or revenues that are not embedded in base rate charges. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions you may have.
Okay, are there questions? Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, what particularly has driven this expense as far as legal expenditures?
Chairman, Commissioners, the big driver there would be the ongoing litigation involving Texas's claim against Colorado and New Mexico.
Okay, that's what I suspected, but I wanted to get that out.
And Mr. Chairman, Delilah Walsh, interim director, if I could also add, we had a lot of depositions in this fiscal year as well as witness statements. And of course, when you have expert witnesses, in addition to the attorney's fees, that's what's really driving it now, is getting in those experts.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Carmichael?
Jose, does the electric rate case part of that, is that just the utility department's portion as opposed to the full city of Las Cruces?
Chairman, Commissioners, when it comes to intervention involving El Paso Electric, first, the prime driver there is the overall intervention is split between the county and the city. So some of those expenses are, what we see and what we pay for. I don't believe that any of those expenses are included in this recovery, but I can certainly check. But my understanding, looking at some of the work papers, is that the main driver is the litigation with the Texas v. Colorado, New Mexico. When you have, as Delilah pointed out, when you have depositions, you have very specialized attorneys and experts, that really it becomes expensive.
Mr. Chair, again, if I could clarify also, Joe is correct. We do not include the El Paso intervention costs with the water litigation rate riders. These are only water related issues.
I just saw in the details where part of it was recovering some cost relating to the El Paso Electric case. I guess I misread that.
And Mr. Chairman, we'll go through and verify, but that should be coming out of a separate line item.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
How much will the 9 cents recover?
It is based on an expenditure level of a little over $886,000, Chairman.
Okay.
And,
all right, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, again, Delilah, that is to recover last fiscal year's costs that went above the 300 and plus thousand. I think it's 357,000, as well as what we anticipate for this fiscal year. So when we come back to you again, we should be lowering that rate rider if it's even necessary.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Since Commissioner Carmichael raised the issue, who is paying for the El Paso Electric intervention?
Chairman, Commissioner, the intervention with El Paso Electric as it relates to the city of El Paso has certain expenses budgeted and is currently expending and we're teaming up with the county. They brought in their own, they brought in consultants that are covering certain areas with the litigation that El Paso files. So that's part of it. And then between the general fund and utilities, we also share those expenses that are portioned to the city of El Paso. Excuse me, God, what a faux pas. To the city of Las Cruces.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Ready for a vote? Commissioner Archuleta,
Aye.
Commissioner Sorg,
Aye, Sword, yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bencomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
and the chair, yes. Thank you. Now, this next one has got a lot of acronyms in it, so forgive me for skipping them. Resolution 2021 LCU 014, a resolution awarding a sole source procurement of TD Williamson 660 TM power unit with accessories for the gas transmission pipeline and TD Williamson SS2 equipment for the gas distribution high pressure pipeline for emergency repairs to DTWUS Inc. of Tulsa, Oklahoma in the amount of $591,630.82. Move to approve.
Move to approve, Sorg.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Carmichael.
Thank you. Discussion.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Lucio Garcia, Natural Gas Operations and Maintenance Deputy Director. Resolution 20-21 LCU 14 is resolution for sole source procurement of equipment. And let me, since you brought it up, a lot of these aren't there. If they were acronyms, I would outline what they were. These are actually titles or model numbers and names. TD Williams is just TD Williamson. So TD doesn't stand for anything. And 6610 TM is actually a model number for the equipment. The purpose of this purchase is for purchase of equipment for our transmission and gas distribution high pressure pipelines. And I mentioned that this is for the equipment only. As you recall, last fiscal year, we purchased some fittings for our pipeline on the transmission and high pressure gas line. The TD Williamson 66 TM power unit and accessories for the transmission line is for an 8-inch and a 12-inch of the wall thicknesses noted there. And that is for our transmission line, which are our 2 taps from the city gate, which is Kinder Morgan, that supply our system. The TD Williamson SS2 equipment for the distribution high pressure is only for the 2 and the 4-inch. We currently have the equipment for the 2, 4, 6, and 8-inch. However, the 2-inch and the 4-inch is what is most utilized throughout the course of the year. So the 2 and the 4 is replacement for existing equipment. The total cost for this is $588,623.38 plus freight charges of $3,007.44. With that, we have put together a little video that we found that pretty much outlines how the equipment is used out in the field when we were making emergency repairs, either on our distribution high pressure or on the transmission. And with that video, please.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, as the video comes up, keep in mind that without this equipment, we could actually be delayed in repair by several months.
So what the video outline here is, there's a damaged line or a line that needs to be repaired. First part of it is to excavate it. And there are the fittings that are being placed on the pipeline. These are the fittings that we currently have in the warehouse that were purchased last fiscal year from T.D. Williamson. So there's two done on either side to isolate. One is to isolate and the other one is to provide a bypass to continue to provide service to customers. So the equipment we're buying there is that there also is the fitting, is the sandwich valve that you just saw go in there. And that is also in the warehouse. And then the pipe being installed here is one to relieve the pressure of the line that's going to be repaired and going to be purged. Now this is the equipment. This is a 6.6. So you can see there it's comprised of a cutter. So it'll go in and cut into the pipe. And it'll remove a coupon. And then the sandwich valve goes in and seals the element. And then you're able to run a bypass to continue service. And now with the second one closest to the line that's being repaired is a plug. So that's why we refer to it as a hot tapping and plugging. So it'll plug and reduce the flow. Once that's done, we'll go in and purge and relieve the pressure. Remove the line that needs to be replaced. Put in the new one, make the repair. And then once that's done, we'll remove all the equipment. And then you'll see, we'll come in, we'll put in this is what's referred to as a sandwich valve that pulls back. That element that's being placed there will be a permanent fixture on the pipeline. That's a sealing element. Once that sealing element is in place, the equipment's removed in the sandwich valves and they're capped and the line is placed back on service. Now where we would use this equipment, most of our system, high percentage of it has two-way feeds. However, some of our system, I'll give you some examples, is our transmission lines that come from La Mesa off of Afton Road that come to the industrial park, and the other one goes to Carver. That's a one-way feed. So if we have problems there or load during the winter, which we cannot replace. Also going up Highway 70. Highway 70, we have a high pressure gas line in our distribution, and that is a one-way feed that heads that way. So if we ever have a damage to our line, something that happens to it, this would help us repair that quickly without interrupting service to all the customers in East Mesa. With that, I'll stand for questions.
Okay, are there questions? That's pretty slick.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yes, sir. It's similar to the InstaValve that our water department, or water section here uses that Adrian has presented to the board previously.
Okay, seeing no question, Commissioner Hardy. Commissioner Hardy, go ahead.
Yeah, very amazing. Yeah, very, very impressive. Are you anticipating you use this for someone running a backhoe through the pipe, or is this a common problem with corrosion where you have to replace part of it?
Yes, sir. It would be all the above. Out on our distribution, as I mentioned, the 2-inch and the 4-inch are continually used, and it's because somebody put a backhoe through it, or they're doing a rehab project and we need to connect to a line, and the only way you can tap into it is cut it, so we bypass it. So our 2-inch and our 4-inch have a lot of use. So this resolution here replaces the ones that are worn, which is a 2 and 4-inch. And then of course, if there's corrosion, we haven't had problem with corrosion. We have a corrosion department that monitors that continually, but it could happen. Yeah, it could be damage or something gets in the line from the external source that damages our line that requires it to be repaired. And then along with the equipment that we're currently purchasing, our team is trained to use this equipment. They've used everything up to the 6-inch and the 8-inch on the high pressure distribution. So we'll have training with this, and we'll have annual training continually for an emergency. This is one of those one that needs continual refreshing so we can respond to an emergency in appropriate time.
Very impressive. Yeah, looks like that's a good thing to have. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, any other comments? All right, now ready for a vote. Commissioner Archuleta,
Aye.
Commissioner Sorg,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Ben-Como,
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
and the chair, yes. Thank you. All right. That concludes the resolutions. The next item of business is old business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delilah Walsh, Interim Utilities Director. First of all, I do want to let you know that Alma did send out Alma did share with you the information on the USGS groundwater model report, as well as the Hawley and Kennedy's work. And we've looked at continuing with that. We're possibly going to be scheduling another work session on around November 5th. We're working with the consultant. However, is it something we want to do now, or do you all want to wait for the next ASR to be done? Also, do you have any other input that you would like us to pursue, whether it be desalinization or any other options that we should be pursuing with our consultant?
We'll all bite. What's an ASR?
That's the injection model where we're injecting the potable water into the aquifer.
Oh, okay.
I think it's aquifer storage and recovery is the technical term.
Okay, good. Thank you. Commissioners, what do you say?
This is Ed Archuleta.
Go ahead.
I think we ought to pursue the ASR and desalination.
So what I would like to do is perhaps delay the next meeting with our consultant and give them those tasks to complete in order to give you a work plan.
Okay.
If that's okay with the board.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Couldn't hear someone?
Carmichael, how long are we talking, do you think?
Adrian, could you answer that on the how long?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Adrian Whitmer, Water Deputy Director. The ASR, we are re-reviewing a second submittal from them. I can go back to them and have them start looking at the desalinization portion and find out how long that is going to take. When we do another work session, we would just like to be able for you all to have all of the information in case there are other issues that end up coming up as part of a work session. We just want to make sure that we cover all the bases so that we just don't want to overly piecemeal you and then something get forgotten, but we'll do it however you all would like. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, Adrian, are you saying by the end of the calendar year?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Walsh, I do believe that that could be taken care of by the end of the calendar year.
Okay. Other commissioners chime in here. Okay, this is William Little. I would like to see us convene sooner rather than later. There are a lot of, almost you would say, odds and ends that we really haven't had a chance to discuss even among ourselves. I know Commissioner Carmichael sent out an email with a laundry list of what about this and what about that, most of which were really pertinent. We owe staff and their consultant, our values. And ASR in particular can be studied, but will be really dependent on legislative action. And I have no idea whether the 90-day session is going to, or the 60-day session is going to get it or not. But there are a lot of things for us to talk about, things that, issues that what we raised during the last presentation, issues that have been raised by email since then, and it would appear profitable to have, so to speak, a general discussion, whether or not Dr. Shoemaker and his firm are available. It may well be worth our while for us 7+ staff to talk for an hour or an hour and a half and see if there is a sense of how to move forward. So I would suggest that we try and meet sooner rather than later. And we can't really vote on it because it wasn't an agenda item, so to speak. But I would like to get the sense of the commission as to whether this sounds at all profitable, or we really should wait until January when we have more reports.
Okay. In that case, Mr. Chair, we will pursue a work session, and it may just look like that exploratory discussion of and looking at what the commission wants us to pursue with Dr. Shoemaker. So we'll continue to work forward to a November 5th work session.
Okay, is that acceptable to the 7 of us?
I agree, Carmine.
I'm okay.
Commissioner Hardy, I agree.
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson, I do too.
All right, then the board would like to have staff convene a work session at an early convenient time. And we will just talk.
Okay. We can do that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Once it's scheduled, feel free to send comments to Alma, who will then flip them to the whole board. Ideas, issues that you think are worth planning on bringing up, but send them to Alma. And I know that I got my hand slapped, so that's how we'll do it. Okay, other old business.
Thank you, sir. Also, regarding the water and wastewater development impact fees, we plan to bring those to you in November. Jose Provencio and his staff are working currently on the new tariff sheets based on the meter sizes. So we plan to bring those to you in November. They'd likely be addressed.
We lost her.
We did. Alma is running off to see if see what's happened.
Yeah. I apologize, commissioners, that my laptop died while I was talking.
Okay.
But Joe and his team are working on the rate sheets. We'll have that to you in November. We're looking at an implementation date of December. However, we are going to do a public presentation for the allocation portion. And so I'll be working with the assistant city manager and the city manager, and when the council wants to see that, we anticipate January. What we'll be doing is informational session that will go on the city's website. We're learning how to record a video onto PowerPoint in order to make that happen. So we have a public outreach on the allocation discussion because that's what council needs to decide moving forward, is how the impact fees will be allocated. So the fees themselves are what they are. That's what the consultant determined. There's no changing that. And we'll be bringing those to the LCU board for review. And then the allocation discussion will take place with city council. So, but we need to do some public outreach first.
Good enough.
Okay. Also, we have our city manager tours. Our first session with Mr. Peely will take place on October 30th to start with our operations. And then we'll be scheduling a second tour. As you know, it takes 2 days to get through the entire utility operations, coming up in November. I think that's all we have for old business.
Okay, now new business.
On new business, actually, I'd like to turn it over to Robin Lawrence, our solid waste deputy director, to talk a little bit about the recycling container grants.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Robin Lawrence, Deputy Director for Solid Waste. Today, I wanted to bring your attention to a grant we're working on in partnership with South Central Solid Waste Authority. And the grant is through the Recycling Partnership, and it is for the first-time purchases of residential curbside recycling containers. As you know, we work closely with South Central Solid Waste, and in early 2021, they will be going out to bid for the recycling collection contract. So in preparation for that, we are going to be purchasing new recycling containers that will have a joint LCU South Central logo, reinforcing our partnership. Another reason behind this is to allow other local haulers the opportunity to place a fair bid on the collection contract without having to purchase 36,500 containers. The current hauler owns the containers now, so moving forward, the city's actually going to own the containers. The Recycling Partnership offers communities the chance to apply for this grant funding to support the acquisition of recycling carts. And the grant funding is available to support publicly sponsored curbside recycling programs, but the applicant must be a local government, solid waste authority, or a federally recognized tribe. So the grant program offers funding to support the purchase of recycling carts to implement recycling education and outreach efforts. The grant allows up to $15 per container for first-time purchase containers, with an additional $1 going to education and outreach. We're looking at purchasing 36,500 containers. There's no match required in order to obtain the grant. However, the cost of a single container is about $43. Having said that, we're also working on an NMFA loan application that you will likely see in the near future in the form of a resolution recommending to council for approval so we can actually purchase the containers. If you recall, this was considered and included in the recent solid waste rate review process and was part of the $2 rate increase. If the grant is awarded, the funds would be on a reimbursement basis and would be used to pay back a portion of the debt. So if there's any questions, I know Patrick Peck is also online. If you have any questions for either one of us.
Okay, questions? Seeing none, I guess we will await developments. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, other new business.
Mr. Chair, additionally, the City Council on Monday did approve the new climate action plan, and I will send the final draft to Alma so she can share that with you. We've already made started scheduling meetings with the sustainability officer, Lisa LaRock, so we can start pursuing options and do some planning on how the utility can be proactive to start implementing some of the strategies in the climate action plan. So we're pretty excited. We've been having brainstorming sessions. We're excited to meet with Lisa to see what we can do. Councilor Gondara actually had an excellent suggestion that we change the name of the utility from a gas utility to possibly an energy utility. And what's exciting about that is, remember that we still have an ordinance in the city of Las Cruces that allows Las Cruces utilities to be a power provider. So should we have community solar go through our legislature, should we have those opportunities in the future, the utility will be in a good place to promote that, support that, and actually be a transmission authority. So we're excited to meet with Lisa and start pursuing that, but we'll send you the final plan so you all can take a look on what we're doing. We've got some great ideas coming from staff on the transportation issue, how we can do emission reductions, emissions mitigation. And so we'll be coming back to you. I know we gave you an initial energy transition presentation, but as I mentioned, we're going to be coming back to you with some next steps and suggestions, but we need to involve our sustainability officer with those efforts.
Okay, thank you. We will look forward to further reports.
So, and that's all I have for new business.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item of business is, it says voting, but it's appointment of the chair and the vice chair, which we do each year. And I'm going to inquire of the commissioners whether there is anyone who would care to volunteer to serve as chair of the commission for the coming year. And seeing no hands raised, I will in fact volunteer to serve for another year. And would ask the commission to vote on that appointment.
So move, so vote, whatever.
By roll call, Commissioner Archuleta.
Aye.
Commissioner Sorg.
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy.
Yes.
Commissioner Bencomo.
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael.
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
And Commissioner Johnson.
Aye, and thank you.
And thank all six of you. One of these years, we're going to do something different. Now, the same set of questions concerning the vice chair. Mr. Archuleta has served well, and I want to know if there are any members of the board who would care to continue to serve or would care to serve as vice chair for the coming year.
I'll move to appoint Mr. Archuleta as the vice chair.
Okay. Mr. Archuleta, will you volunteer to serve for another year?
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let us vote on that appointment. Commissioner Sorg.
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy.
Yes.
Commissioner Bencomo.
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
And the chair, yes. Thank you all. Now, the next order of business is the board's general discussion. Anyone have anything to share with us? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, the next meeting date is scheduled for November 12th. Ms. Walsh, do we have any work sessions on the horizon for that day?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, no, thus far we don't have a planned work session. However, we may have that November 5th brainstorming session prior to the regular meeting. But thus far, no work session.
Okay, fine, but that's the week before.
Correct.
Okay, then the next meeting will be on November 12th at 3 p.m. a regular board meeting with no work session in advance. Next item is adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank
Johnson.
you. Thank you. And a second?
Second, Carmichael.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
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 By acclaim, we are adjourned. See you all on the 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all.